Aaron Rodgers is absolutely ready to go in a tough season opener against the Niners defense. That's according to Robert Saleh, who says Rodgers has an arm of someone 10 years younger. However, our Chris Canty is not nearly as high. Here's Canty with a hot take on Rodgers.
New York Jets.
I knew that was coming.
I don't think they got the guy. 40-year-old quarterback coming off of an Achilles injury. I don't believe that we're going to see the same version of Aaron Rodgers that won back-to-back MVPs 3 years ago. I think life comes at you fast in the National Football League. We're seeing that a little bit with Russell Wilson and how quickly he has regressed. I think we're in store for Aaron Rodgers playing an extended period of time over the course of this season, but us realizing that he's fallen off a little bit when it comes to his ability to be a difference maker at that position.
All right, there's a lot of facial expressions happening to my left, but Dan, you're up first. Will Rodgers be a difference maker this year is the question,
Jeez.
but feel free to react to Canty.
Of course he's going to be. He always has been. I got a lot of love for Chris. I do. What? Why, Chris? When you say, well, the 40-year-old coming off the injury, so is the hesitation that he's 40? Is it that he's coming off of the injury? Are they separate? Or it's because there's this combination? I don't understand how we constantly do this with people who are greats. Not really goods, but greats. We did this with Tiger Woods. We did this with Tom Brady. We did this with Peyton Manning. That we take these all-time greats, and when they have a little bit of a downtime or a valley, we just write them off and think, well, that's the end of the story. Okay, so when Aaron won his MVPs, that 20 and 21 stretch, I believe it was, he ran the ball 60 times in that 2-year stretch, 65 times. It wasn't like he was this run-around playmaker, so the Achilles injury, it's not like this guy was Lamar Jackson winning the MVP. He threw for like 80 touchdowns and ran the ball 65 times. We have seen all-time great quarterbacks then go on. Here's the stats right here. So look at, the guy, so 70 times he ran the football. This was a point guard at his very best, an elite RPO guy, a one-on-one nightmare when it comes to playing the quarterback spot. He wasn't this elusive runaround guy. The Achilles injury then doesn't really matter to me. We have watched Matthew Stafford when he was older, go win it. Tom Brady when he's older, go win it. Peyton Manning, and that was because of a great defense. Jets happened. That one, go win it. Kurt Warner when he was older, go and get there. And if not for an unbelievable throw by Ben, win it. Chris, is this about his age? Is this about the injury? Because we're just trying to find ways to sit there and say, he's going to be bad. He's not going to be. If Aaron Rodgers has his worst season in his last 10 years, Jets are in the playoffs.
Molly, you want to know, like, wow, I had all these facial expressions.
Yeah.
The fact that Chris Canty, I love my brother Chris. The fact that Chris Canty had Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers in the same sentence, it's just, why you say, Steve?
Amen.
Blasphemous.
Amen.
It's just, when I heard that, it just I literally toned out everything that Chris Canty had to say after that point in time. We're talking about a 4-time league MVP, one of the all-time greats in our game. Like, his game is not predicated on, like, being Lamar Jackson. That's not his game. Aaron Rodgers' game is all about manipulating the pocket and playing at the elite level from the neck up. Before Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes come around, and obviously, now we talk about Patrick Mahomes is the greatest thrower of the football that we've ever seen. We were talking about Aaron Rodgers in that same vein for years. He is one of the most gifted quarterbacks that we have ever seen. Do we think just because he's 40 that has all of a sudden diminished to this point? Absolutely not. It's like, Marlon, I want to say this. I went out and saw training camp with Aaron Rodgers. Let me tell you something. If Aaron Rodgers stay healthy, Aaron Rodgers is going to put on the show.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, he has not forgotten how to throw the football. He has not forgotten how to, manipulate pre-snap, post-snap. He has not forgotten how to put the ball on a dime to Garrett Wilson and all these other guys. So this whole notion that he had this Achilles injury and it's somehow it's going to wreck his game, his game was never predicated on being this mobile quarterback. That was never his game. So again, he's going to be a difference maker. The Jets were literally 7-10 with the worst quarterback play in the National Football League. And you mean to tell me that a healthy Aaron Rodgers is not going to be a huge difference maker for this team? Come on.
He does have to get up quite early to do that show. I mean, he might have still been sleeping. So let's just get that out the way. That's number one. Number two, we also got to take into consideration this, because even Dan Orlovsky missed this. Dan just starts laughing the second I open my mouth. I don't know why. I'm not that funny. But the point is, Dan, here's the thing with Chris Canty.
It's the way you say it, man. It's the way you say it.
Well, it's just the truth. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. It's just the truth, okay? Chris Canty, we also got to remember, for the vast majority of his career, he was a New York Giant. They talked about Aaron Rodgers in the joint practice against the Giants the other day. I mean, he torched them. He whipped their butt. Threw about 4 touchdown passes, including a 70-yard and a 55-yarder. So he might be a bit salty over there. So it's getting up a bit too early. Combined with him being salty, you understand, because he knows that his Giants are going to be trash this year. And the combination of the two things has touched on the emotional strings of Chris Canty. That is entirely plausible. We love him. He's our brother. We have to throw him a pass in that regard. But when you think about Aaron Rodgers, I want to remind everybody, because the other day everybody was making noise about the fact that he didn't really participate. Is he going to be in the preseason, et cetera, et cetera? He played 2 series last August. Okay, 2 series in the preseason.
Aaron Rodgers is absolutely ready to go in what promises to be a brutal season opener against one of the league's toughest defenses, the San Francisco 49ers. That's according to Jets head coach Robert Saleh, who claims Rodgers' arm looks like it belongs to someone a decade younger. But not everyone is buying into the hype, and one of the skeptics is none other than Chris Canty. Canty didn't hold back in his critique, stating bluntly that he doesn't believe we'll see the same version of Aaron Rodgers who won back-to-back MVPs just 3 years ago. In his words, life comes at you fast in the National Football League. Canty pointed to Russell Wilson as an example of how quickly a top-tier quarterback can fall from grace. His prediction: while Rodgers may still perform decently, fans will soon realize he's no longer the game changer he once was. Now, let's be real. When Canty dropped that take, there were a lot of raised eyebrows and facial expressions in the room. But the burning question remains, will Rodgers be the difference maker the Jets desperately need this season? Dan Orlovsky was quick to respond, and let me tell you, he wasn't having any of it. Of course he's going to be a difference maker, Dan exclaimed. He always has been. And that's the thing, Aaron Rodgers has been a game changer throughout his entire career. So why are we suddenly doubting him now? Is it the age? The Achilles injury? Or are people just looking for reasons to question greatness? Let's break this down. When Rodgers won his MVPs in 2020 and 2021, he wasn't known for his mobility. He ran the ball maybe 60 times during that stretch. Rodgers has never been a Lamar Jackson type player who relies on his legs to win games. His success has always come from his elite football IQ, arm talent, and his ability to read defenses like a book. So an Achilles injury? Sure, it might slow him down a bit, but it's not going to erase decades of experience and skill. And look, we've seen this story before. Veteran quarterbacks like Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning have all gone on to win Super Bowls in the latter stages of their careers. The Jets have a solid defense, much like the teams that carried Brady and Manning to their titles. So why can't Rodgers do the same? Canty might be focusing too much on Rodgers' age and injury history, but let's not forget, even in a down year, Rodgers' worst is still better than most quarterbacks' best. If the Jets could scrape together a 7-10 record last season with some of the worst quarterback play in the league, imagine what they can do with a healthy, motivated Aaron Rodgers at the helm. Here's the thing, Rodgers doesn't need to be Superman for this Jets team to make the playoffs. He just needs to be himself. This team was already competitive with a subpar quarterback situation. Adding a future Hall of Famer into the mix changes everything. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Yes, Chris Canty was a New York Giant for the bulk of his career, and he's no stranger to rivalry-driven takes. It's worth noting that just recently in a joint practice against the Giants, Rodgers lit them up for 4 touchdown passes, including a 70-yarder and a 55-yarder. Could there be a little saltiness there? Absolutely. Canty knows his Giants are in for a rough season, and maybe that's influencing his take on Rodgers. In conclusion, let's not write off Aaron Rodgers just yet. He might be 40, but that doesn't mean he's done. He's had a whole offseason to get his body right. And from everything we've seen in training camp, he's ready to prove the doubters wrong. The Jets are about to be a problem in the AFC, and Rodgers is going to be the one leading the charge.